Hello, everybody. Scott Golden with the Pro Wrestling Logic YouTube channel here. Welcome to those of you who are new. Welcome back to those of you who are seasoned veterans of what we do around here. And we continue the World Class Championship Wrestling Review Series. We are up to July of 1982. And this is a unique show because in the main event we have Patriarch of the Von Erich family Fritz against King Kong Bundy in the Star Wars main event, but we have a few matches to get through before we get there. Mr. Oliveras and Castro versus McGraw and Bundy starts our card here. This is the match you'd expect it to be. It is the beginning of, well, I guess you'd say the continuation of the turn of Bugsy McGraw. That takes the next several weeks. McGraw is doing the majority of the punishment here. He is in the ring more than Bundy, and you see him use a lot of power moves, a lot of strikes, even a military press slam midway through. He is extremely dominant and has a legitimate claim to being able to be probably, in the best of his career. He wins, as does Bundy. Bundy is brought in only to do more damage. The referees try to get him out of the way, and Bundy continues the chaos post-match. Bugsy McGraw stands in the way and says the enhancement talent has had enough. This upsets both Bundy and Arman Hussein. Basically, there's some degree of morality in Bugsy. Bugsy starts to question his role in H&H Limited. He starts to question kind of for lack of a better term, the morality of the group. Really well done angle here. The breakup is a few weeks away, but you can see the seeds of it forthcoming. And that's one thing that I think modern wrestling is missing. We then move on to Wild Bill Irwin, still your Texas champion, against Brian Adidas, who is a friend of the Von Erichs. They go, I believe, a full 10 minutes through, if not close to it. Let me just double check that. But yeah, they go almost all the way through, and certainly without saying. Adidas looks extremely good here. He looks together. He looks like a guy who has a lot of potential. And again, I'm actually surprised. They go almost through to a time limit draw. The referee is able to come in 1, 2, and just barely does Wild Bill get by, which is weird for the Texas champion, but at the same time, we do see kind of a, the beautiful drop kicks and just really the buildup of a new babyface in a discernible way. We move on from that to Kerry Von Erich, who they're hyping hugely for the World Championship match in about 6 weeks or so with Ric Flair. Frank Dusek, who starts to get into it with the referee, Mr. Manning, and that develops over the next several weeks. Von Erich's strikes look really ferocious throughout. Dusek gets caught in the corner with the upside down spot. Von Erich is dominant throughout this. We see backdrops, we see just a lot of strikes, we see obviously the Iron Claw, which we always see from a Von Erich. Interesting to me, because I didn't grow up with World Class, that almost every Von Erich uses the claw, and the claw is almost the reason for being a Von Erich, for lack of a better term. It's kind of like the hold is bigger than the family in a lot of ways. But Kerry is able to, he tries to slingshot himself over the top rope at a point, doesn't get very far, landing on the knees of Dusek. Dusek, who used to have his army. He used to be a guy who, was a big deal. Kind of has fallen off a little bit. Um, and Kerry does get your victory here. He walks away with yet another victory. It's clear that he is, being set up for the championship run that comes a couple years later, even here. Kerry winning with a sunset flip. Kind of surprising because, one, he didn't win with the claw, but equally surprising because, the coordination of a sunset flip seems a little bit difficult for Kerry at this point. We go to H&H headquarters. Bugsy McGraw seems to start to question the authenticity of one Gary Hart. He seems to question the nature of that management arrangement and a lot of other aspects. Then we move into the main event from the big Star Wars show, which is the match with King Kong Bundy and Fritz von Erich. This is to this point in his career, final match of Fritz von Erich. I do believe he does have a couple more coming out of retirement here throughout the years of world class, but this is hyped as his final match for the North American Championship, and it is a big deal. I mean, the match is a brawl. Bundy sells probably a lot more than he should. We do see the use of a chair. We see brawling on the outside. We see Fritz in Texas Stadium finally pinning Bundy in the end zone of Texas Stadium. We see all of Fritz's kids coming out and about. That is a big deal because, just the family looks unified. We actually see Fritz's wife. I think they said his career was 33 or 38 years, over 30 years. All the kids come out and celebrate Fritz. If I didn't know better, I would say the announcers were going to tear up, and the fans were ecstatic. Obviously, the stadium draw a lot less than it would be future years later, but for 1982, this is pretty good. It's a brawl that I wouldn't say you have to go out of your way to see, but certainly if you've never seen Fritz before, or if you want to see a patriarchal family member kind of leading the family, defending the family honor, we see that. Fritz talking about how all of his boys are going to be the world champion, and there's even kids there who, I think eventually all of Fritz's kids, all of his boys wrestled, but very young boys, and they're not ready to wrestle yet. But anyway, that is it for today's review. Until next time, keep your feet on the ground, your mind in the moment. Until next time, everybody.